If you like this video, why not subscribe? Hey everybody, if you're wondering about the unusual lighting setup I have today, it's because I'm being lit by two battery-powered LED lights. One of them is the Fotodiox LED98A that I reviewed a while ago. And when I reviewed that light, several of you said, hey, could you do a comparison between that light and the popular CN160, which is a Chinese import that has 160 LEDs and runs about 30 bucks. Pretty good deal. Well reviewed. So finally, when I got around to doing this comparison, I went looking for the CN160, and when I did, I found another light that looked a lot like the CN160, only it was $10 cheaper. So I couldn't resist, and I picked up one of those lights, and I've got it here now, and we're going to look at it. So let's go to the countertop. Okay, so this is what you get in the box. Of course, you have the light here. We're going to take a look at that first. And it looks pretty good. It feels pretty lightweight. It doesn't feel super cheap, even though it does feel more inexpensive, but the build doesn't feel too bad. Got your LEDs here with a nice white surface inside to reflect. You've got vents on the side to release heat, even though it doesn't generate all that much. You've got a 1/4 thread right here, so you can mount it on the mini ball head that's provided if you're going to put it on your camera or on a light stand. However, I would highly recommend you don't use this because it's teensy and flimsy, and the only thing it's really good for is to use the DIY flag that I made a while ago if you want to shade your camera lens. I recommend you get something like this. This is a more beefy mini ball head. Which will work better with this light, especially since you'll be using it with a heavy battery, which I'll explain why in a minute. So I'll leave the link below in the description to get this. This is the same one I've used in all of my projects. It's very nice, very handy. But on the back of the light here is where all the good stuff is. This is your battery bay right here. And you've got a battery tester. When you press this button, these LEDs will light up. You've got this door that opens here when you want to power it by 6 AA batteries, which is a nice option. And then you've got your dimmer on and off switch, which is right here. So we're going to go ahead and put a battery in it. Now this does not come with a battery or a battery charger. However, it does use the popular Sony NP-F series of batteries. This is the 970. This is what I used to power my external monitor when I was reviewing that $56 monitor a while back. I used a battery cradle to power it. This is the same battery that I'm going to use in this, which is nice, and it easily, you just put it in the bottom, slide it into place, and then it powers it quite nicely. This is a higher capacity battery, so this should last a while. However, it does stick out in the back and it does make the whole thing heavier. But there are other options. There's this smaller battery right here. This is the NP-F970. However, there is a problem when you use these smaller batteries, because when you insert the smaller battery, which goes in without too much trouble, like so, you can test the battery with that. Getting it out is a real problem. You can slide it away from the contacts till it clicks out, and then how are you supposed to get this out? Even when you open the battery door, you still can't get it out because it's hung up on the contacts right here. You have to be able to pull it away somehow. So the only way to get it out is really to pry it, push on one end and pry it on the other end with a multi-tool or something, and now you can pull it out. But you can imagine if this is on a light stand and you have to change the battery, this is going to be a real pain. You're not going to do that, not to mention that it scratches up your battery, scratches up the inside of your light. So I would recommend that you just invest in the higher capacity batteries, which aren't, I mean, super cheap. They're like $15 to $20 on eBay. I'll give you a link below. And you have to get a charger too, but this is the battery to use because you have an easy way to remove it by simply unclicking it or snapping it away from the contacts and then just easily tilting it out, because you have a surface to grab, where in the other one you really don't. So okay, so next up we have the the plates right here that slide right into the front. There's a slot on the top of the light right there, and it just drops down right in here. And you know, the value of these on any of these inexpensive LED lights is questionable, whether they really do what they say. I mean, if you look at this right here, even on a low setting, so you can kind of see when you pull the diffuser out, is there really any difference? I don't see any. You could probably make this a little better by sanding this surface so it's more opaque, more translucent, because right now it's kind of frosted. You can make it even more frostier if you sanded it. But then you have a CTV, or a color temperature blue, that makes things really blue. I'm not sure, you know, if it's really effective. The same thing with the so-called, you know, CTO or tungsten filter right here. It's supposed to change it to a more orange color. And then there's a magenta or a minus green filter, which will take the green out of the light. So you just have to experiment with these to see if they work for you. They might just be more effects filters than anything else. But you do have that option. And of course, then you have your instruction manual right here, which is the funniest part of the light, because as you can see, video light user Guido or Goody. Now I'll admit, this looks like a really good deal on the surface. However, and unfortunately, when I was setting up this specific shot right here using the two LED lights, the generic one over here, the Fotodiox over here, I started noticing some flickering coming from the generic light, and after a while it became more obvious. And then when I moved behind the light and looked at the wall, it was clear that it was flickering. So that is definitely a problem and a potential deal breaker even at $20. But I did notice that the problem would only be affecting the light while it was dimmed to 25%, 50%, 75, whatever. When I cranked the light to full blast, like it is right now, the flickering went away. So that is a fix, and this light could still be worthwhile. You just have to use traditional methods to knock the light down instead of using the dimmer. You just put some diffusion on it, slide one of the plates in, move the light back, use the inverse square rule, and move the light away from the subject to lower the intensity of the light. They're all viable options. And this light, so it could still have value in your kit, and it's definitely a good replacement for something like this, which is the old tungsten lights, the work lights that everyone was using a while ago. These are like $12 or $13 a piece, so a little more will get you an LED light that'll run a lot cooler than this, and is more portable, runs on a battery, etc., etc. All the advantages of LED lights are there. It just has that kind of important problem of the dimmer not really being effective from probably just a cheap potentiometer in the light is causing it to be unreliable when dimmed. So with that being said, buyer beware. I still think it has value, 20 bucks. I was really excited about this light, and I was going to get another one, but now I'm not so sure. I think it definitely has its place, but I might opt to try one of the CN160s or maybe another Fotodiox light if I have the money. So there you go. If you like this review, please come to the frugalfilmmaker.com for more. You'll find more reviews, tips, tricks, and all kinds of stuff about DIY filmmaking. And I really appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time.